includes celebrating with friends, tailgating, seasonal events, holidays. So you must be thinking, after all the commercials, lectures, and safety briefings on drinking and driving, hasn't everything that could be said about it been said? Guess not.
You have the right to remain silent.
Drinking and driving. We can't say enough. Know what's right. Do what's right.
All right, we can't say enough. I can't stand up here each and every quarter, every semi-annually, and say enough about the do's and don'ts. You as the individual has to make that decision. It falls back on the choice. You know, whether I do the right thing or make a irrational decision behind getting behind the wheel of the vehicle and drive versus, hey, let me call a resource. Let me call Uber, call Lyft, call the local taxi cab service to get me from that establishment or that area to my residence. So it falls back on the individual. You have the choice. So do what's right. Do the right thing versus compromising your livelihood or your job by running the risk of getting behind the vehicle and driving impaired. All right, let me see a show of hands. Who knows someone who have been charged with a DUI? Okay. All right. Probably they have shared some things, you know, with what led up to the DUI. That person probably was could have been battling some substance abuse issue, you know, with alcoholism. But however, a DUI changes things. It changes the dynamics of the household. You know, it changes, you know, if you know, depending on if you suspended, restricted. So are you able to drive? You know, do I need to rely on friends? Hey, can you pick me up and take me to work? Or my significant other, my spouse. So when I say a DUI changes things, the whole dynamic of that household, not just from a driving standpoint, from a financial standpoint, you know, now money that you could have been saving for a upcoming family outing, guess who's getting all your money? Those lawyers, or that probation officer, or, you know, now I got to sit through a class, you know, for the next 10 weeks, and that class costs on the outside between $600 and $700 that I got to pay. So those monies that are coming out of my pocket or your pocket that you could have been saving for an upcoming family trip that you've been so eager to go on, but you made a simply poor choice by getting behind the wheel of the vehicle and you end up getting cited with a DUI. That's why I say a DUI changes the dynamics of any household, All right, we're starting off with alcohol. Here's my learning objectives. We're going to talk about the effects of alcohol. We're going to pretty much say what is alcohol. Okay. Talk about the tolerance. Talk about some irresponsible drinking. Give you some tips, some resources, and so forth. Okay. When we look at alcohol, my question to you: why is alcohol the most abused drug amongst service members or civilians? Why? Anyone? Most available? Easy to get. What else? Legal. What else? Inexpensive. All right. Easy to consume. Social accepted. Speaking of social accepted, you know, I can say easy to consume. This gentleman right here having this tall cylinder bullet, I call it. It could be his beverage of choice. He's concealing. Everyone see him carrying it around. They may think that's his form of, if you like tea, or you like, hey, I just like to drink water. So however, he got some JD and Coke.
There you go.
All right, this is how we kind of define alcohol, how it's broken down in some of the simpler terms. Alcohol is not a stimulant. It's a depressant. You know, I tell my audience that alcohol does not give you the ability to be strong. It does not make you run faster. It does not, you know, make you, you know, feel like, hey, I'm on top of the world. No. We drink alcohol as a socially accepted. We drink alcohol as a form of entertainment, with others. But however, once we get impaired, then what we got, poor judgment kick in. Our loss of motor skills, coordination, our memory become affected. Okay? And then individuals get behind the wheel of the vehicle and drive. And that's what we were trying to eliminate, these occurrences from happening, because we want you to make that right choice, the correct choice. So it does not compromise your family dynamics, nor does it have an impact on your job performance. Alcohol is a gateway drug, combination with other drugs. Combination. Hey, it's good to have that 12 ounce or my cocktail of choice. Guess what? I got a rolled up lace marijuana joint. I'm smoking, I'm drinking at the same time. I'm having a good time. I'm partying. So that's what we call a gateway drug. And as you see, alcohol is a form of beer, wine, distilled spirits. So a question to the audience again. Do anyone know what is a standard drink? How do we define a standard drink?
12 ounce can of beer.
Okay, what else? 1 ounce of alcohol.
Soul of Mary.
What else? Glass of wine. How many ounces? 5 ounces. All right, we got 12 ounce can, a bottle of domestic beer. 1.5 ounce of distilled spirit, 80, 100 proof. 5 ounces of wine. Each of those contents carries a 0.06. We're talking about half an ounce of pure alcohol. Okay. For those of you who make alcohol in your basement or that shed in the back, your proof may be stronger than the domestic. So you have to be careful. You have to be mindful of the proof of the alcohol that you're being, that you're making at the compound of your residence. All right, so definitions. With these definitions, we kind of categorize them as high risk down to low risk. Like simple, risk assessment. We want to mitigate whatever that hazard is. If it's a medium, we want to mitigate it down to the lowest level, low risk. Same with alcohol. Binge drinking, we consider that high risk. I want to mitigate that down, not just to a medium, but we want to mitigate it down to low. So our low risk is being responsible or being what I call a sociable, drinker. We don't want to be binge drinkers by having 4 or more drink on any given occasion, because what it can do, it can lead to not just other problems within the household, but also it can lead to increased frequency and increased quantity. So if I drank 4 or 5 on Friday, guess what? On Saturday, I may drink another 4 or 5, and then come the next week, my limits may increase. Instead I'm at 4 or 5, I may be at 6, 7. Because now what's going on is now I'm building a tolerance to the alcohol substance. So each and every time I drink, I want to get that same euphoria feeling. I'm going to drink more and more each time till I reach that feeling. So guess what? My tolerance level increases. Tolerance level increases. The 0, 1, 2, 3 formula. I call that low risk. That's something that I adopt today. I practice the 0, 1, 2, 3. The 0 stands for abstinent. Individuals that do not drink alcohol, period. Or definitely individuals under the age of 21. They fall into the 0. 1 stands for 1 drink in an hour. Alternate your drinks with a non-alcoholic drink. Water, fruit punch. Because you want to stay hydrated. Alcohol will dehydrate your body. Especially during climate months like now. It's hot. Alcohol is not your thirst quencher. It's not your, all right, let me put these electrolytes in. Bud Light doesn't do that. Okay. 2 stand for no more than 2 drinks on any given day. And then 3 stand for no more than 3 drinks on any given day, but not to exceed 14 drinks in a week. So that means on Friday, I can't drink 8. And then Saturday, I'll cap it off at 6. If you do the math, that puts you up at being drinking. That means that's high risk. We want to make those risk choices. Some of us may look at this and say, is that reality? Is that something I can practice? Maybe you're probably shaking your head, no, I can't. But however, if you make an attempt to do it, you can see some benefits from it, because they say individuals who practice the 0, 1, 2, 3 live as long as individuals who abstainers. And that's by research. Responsible drinking. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, but those who do partake in a beverage of choice, are you a responsible drinker? All right, just plant that question in your mind, because I'm going to come back to you later on in the presentation. Are you a responsible drinker? All right, talk about this one drink. Talk about that standard drink coming in various sizes. Individuals who drink wine. Wine glasses are the same with our beer mugs as well. They come in various sizes. Quite naturally, if you're home at your residence, you're not going to pour yourself a 5-ounce glass of wine. You're going to pour that wine all the way up to the brim, to the top, because you're cooking, you're reading the newspaper, you're watching the news, you're into your favorite Lifetime show. So guess what? You drink the wine, glass after glass. Then you look over, that wine bottle is almost empty, and the show is not even over with yet. Okay. Same with beer. You go to your favorite restaurant, you get beer on the tap. Beer size gonna come in either a short or a tall. That's how most of them. Hey, give me a tall. Tall normally is a 22 ounce. Okay, 22 ounce. Short, 16 ounce. So is a Long Island iced tea a standard drink? No, but that's my favorite drink. I love it. I know the bartender. I tell them to tighten it up a little bit for me. What about a margarita? No, not a standard drink. Top shelf. Not even come close. But guess what? I'm gonna leave that establishment after having about maybe 2, maybe 3 Long Island iced tea, because half hour. $2 drinks. Take advantage of it, maximizes my dollar. I get behind the wheel of the vehicle, I'm driving. Kind of swerve over the dotted line, unmarked car. I thought it was a regular sedan, driving with the flow of traffic. Don't pull me over. Guess what? He comes up. Nowadays, we already have a window down. Sometimes they used to tap on the window back in the day. You roll your window down, start having a conversation. Why did I pull you over? Type of conversation. All of a sudden, guess what? Smelling alcohol. One thing leads to another, probably because you exit the vehicle. Now you're doing it on the spot, field sobriety, several other questions. How many drinks have you had? Sir, ma'am, I only had 1 drink, 2 drinks, and I'm finished. But when we look at having a Long Island iced tea, if I only had 2, I have had up to 8 standard drinks. 8 standard drinks in those 2 drinks of the Long Island iced tea. Blood alcohol content. Amount of alcohol measured into the bloodstream. So when you hear BAC or BAL, blood alcohol level, when you hear those numbers, 0.22, 0.15, 0.08, that's where that terminology comes from. Using the breathalyzer, that being calibrated, certified by that law enforcement officer, that will utilize at the time of the stop to see how much alcohol you have in your system. All of our states across the nation adhere to the 0.08 blood alcohol content are level to be cited, charged for driving while intoxicated, DWI. Also DUI, driving under the influence of a mind-altering chemical drug. Could be an antihistamine, could be a prescribed medication that cause some type of adverse effect, but however we take it as prescribed, we get behind the wheel of the vehicle. It make us sleepy, make us, our mind all over the map. So we drive, get pulled over, unmarked, pull you over. In your defense, you say, hey sir, ma'am, hey, I just took this prescribed medication. Guess what you're gonna get charged with? You're gonna get charged driving under the influence. Okay? And I tell my audience, if you have a prescribed some medication that you have to drive and it gives you an adverse effect, go back to your primary and say, hey, I have to go to work. Can you give me something less potent, but still has the same effect to treat whatever that illness is? Total body fluid that you see. That's how the BAC is measured. You know, what type of shape I am. You know, am I in poor shape, good shape, young, old, depending on the age. How fast do I metabolize the alcohol? Okay, how fast do I metabolize the alcohol? The effects of the BAC, as the numbers increases, certain things are being impacted due to the human body. Okay, we talked about hand and eye coordination, loss of motor skills, depth perception. Some more effects. I shared with a story from the previous class on Fort Belvoir maybe about 3-4 years ago. An individual, civilian, came through Pence Gate, which is the hospital gate. It was one evening, one night. When he came through the gate, the guard spotted that the individual had an expired state inspection where prompt the guard to tell him, hey, pull to the side. MPs came over. When the MPs arrived, after going some series of questions, having a conversation with the individual, the MPs noticed that, hey, this individual was drinking, and had the person exit the vehicle, come to the rear of the vehicle, some more series of questions, did a field sobriety test on the spot, did a breathalyzer on the spot, he failed. The breathalyzer came back, evidentiary 0.22 blood alcohol concentration. He was cited right there on the spot, picked up to the provost marshal, and he got released. But however, when we look at blood alcohol concentration, 0.22, that's significant. That is very significant. That's very high. And then you ask yourself, how are you operating a 4,000, 5,000 pound moving object safely? Safely. Somewhere from point A to point B, he could have injured not himself, others, caused some type of property damage, could have took a life, you name it. Okay? So don't put yourself at risk by taking that chance, getting behind the wheel of the vehicle. You know, use the resources that we have to us, or say, hey, I know my wife's gonna be mad. Can you come pick me up? You're gonna get an earful because now you have interrupt her evening due to your drinking habits. All right, here's some of the effects of the blood alcohol concentration. We talked about the metabolism. We talked about how well, what type of shape You know, if I'm in poor shape, guess what? Alcohol will stick around. If I'm overweight, alcohol will stick around because, you know, when you do drink beer, beer has calories. Distilled spirit has calories. It packs on some unwanted piles there. Also, when we talked about the total body fluid, when we looked at age, you know, my example was when I was a young 20, 21-year-old stationed in Korea, really didn't have a drinking limit or drinking age, put it like that. You know, I was able to drink 6, 7 drinks and get up the next morning and run the hills and sweat it all out. It didn't faze me. But hey, as the older we get, now mid-40s, you cannot continue that same pattern. You know, because our body's just not designed to continue those drinking habits, those drinking patterns like we did when we were younger. All right, what would be some physical signs that you see in an individual who is impaired? What are some physical signs that you see, immediate signs? Red eyes? What else? Slurred speech? What else? Second?
Off balance, can't walk with stumbling.
Okay, stumbling? What else? What else? Hold on to breath.
Skin color gets
Okay, skin color. Hold on to breath. Okay? When individuals are impaired, have you ever came across someone that their personality changed? Okay. Do they get happy? Get loud? Angry? So just imagine when they sober up. When they sober up, go back to that sober state, it's the opposite effect. Some people say, hey, I like when you was impaired because you was a more happy, you was more lovable, but when you're sober, you can't stand to be around. All right, tolerance. Tolerance means how we not just process, but how we react to the alcohol, the sedative effects of the alcohol. Everyone in this room have a set genetic makeup, have a set tolerance level, whether you drink or not. Okay, you know, it could be tolerance to pain, tolerance to, say, an alcohol beverage. Some have a low tolerance, some may have a high. And the individuals I say that has a high tolerance, I say you are a liability to others because individuals will get behind the wheel of the vehicle. You will drive because what? Because you're going to show no signs of any physical impairment. Everybody else is yawning. Everybody else is staggering. You know, everybody else is, you know, that's in that social setting. Say, hey, I'm gonna give the keys to Bob, give the keys to Mary. Mary can drive, she look fine. And guess what? Everyone piles in that vehicle with Mary and Bob, down the road you go. I would say you look back in the rear and see, look, people in the back, guess what? They sleep, they out, passed out. And Mary's or Bob's co-pilot over there, that person ain't no good either. So guess what? Mary and Bob all alone to get you home safe. All right, here's some physical signs. All right, what about some long-term health effects that can happen to an individual who's abusing alcohol? Tear your liver up. Okay, what else? Eyesight. Brain damage. Kidneys. Diabetes. Heart disease. We talked about cirrhosis, obesity. Okay. Heart disease, one of the leading causes of death amongst individuals in the United States. Not saying alcohol is a contributing factor to all diagnoses of heart disease, but however, it has somewhere in there, it has a play. Alcoholism, alcohol dependent disease. Okay. When we look at this, these are some of the signs. They may not apply to you, but if you know someone, these are some of the things that you can pick up on and say, hey, this individual has the alcoholic problem, issue. When they start, they don't know how to stop. When they stop, that means that when they turn the bottle upside down, there's nothing in it anymore. Or when they reach in their pockets and pull out, they have nothing but lint, that's when, hey, they can't buy no more. Okay? Lost control. Tolerance level goes up and down because at that time, internal organs have been damaged. It's not processing alcohol the way at the beginning. So they will go through maybe months, weeks of stopping. But as soon as they get around, an old cousin or a good friend from I haven't seen in a long time, hey, let's go on down here and have that one for the road. Haven't seen you in a while. Guess what? Send that phenomenon all back over again. Send it back up. Now they start drinking more. So they'll go through what we call that sporadic up and down, up and down, up and down. All right, responsible drinking. I said I'm coming back to you. Those who drink. Anyone in the audience, how do you define what is responsible drinking? Anyone, how do you define what is responsible drinking?
Don't drink.
Know when to say when. Who's that? What else? Know when to say when.
Don't drink.
Don't drink. There you go.
That's responsible.
What else? Anyone else? Get a designated driver. Say again? A lot of people say, hey, have a plan in place, have a plan. Designated driver. Responsible drinking. Being responsible meaning that it does not adversely affect your quality of life, your values, your beliefs. It does not affect your work performance. Because once individuals are abusing alcohol or any drug, you see a lot of sporadic absentee. In and out of, can't come to work because, hey, I'm too hungover to get out of bed to come to work. So now their work performance is being impacted. Okay? Here's not ASAPs, but this is a quick definition of responsible drinking. At the end of the day, just having a plan in place, whether you're going to a backyard barbecue or you're going to a celebration, if you know you're going to partake, have a plan. Have a plan on how you're going to get from that establishment back to your residence. All right, what are some things that happen to an individual who drink irresponsibly?
End up dead.
Say again? Loss of who?
License.
Okay, loss of license. What else? Loss of life? What else?
Could kill somebody else by could kill someone else.
Can kill someone else. All right, here are a few things that can happen to an individual who's being irresponsible. All right, sexual assault. We see it all the time up there on Fort Belvoir. My program manager sits on the SAR board, and I would say about 6% of those cases that she reviews, alcohol is a component. Whether it's with the perpetrator or the victim, alcohol is a proponent. All right, here's some statistics here from the National Highway Transportation Association. Every 50 minutes, there's an alcohol-related incident on our public highways today. Every 50 minutes. Whether it's in the morning, lunchtime, evening, at night, or at midnight. It does happen every single day. State of Virginia. When we look at these numbers, I say from 2017 to I say 3 years previous to that, those numbers was pretty much hovering around the 30 percentile. So they kind of saying with the DUI checkpoints, with a lot of education that they going around talking to high schoolers, trying to get the word out. So they've seen some decrease in their numbers. Hopefully that as years to come, which you can't catch them all, but you're hoping that we get the message out to a lot of our millennials to say, hey, have that plan. If you're gonna drink, have a designated driver, or make sure you have some plan in place to prevent these alcohol related incidents. Fairfax County, since Fort Belvoir relies in Fairfax County, as you see, approximately 20% was alcohol related in 2017, which out of the 3 counties in that area, Fairfax County has the highest number of alcohol related incidents in comparison with Alexandria and Prince William County as well. So if you're ever traveling through Fairfax County, good be on you. Obey the speed limit because they're out there. Here's another chart. About 5% of drivers, 5% of drivers who have a blood alcohol level of 0.10 or higher account for 70% of fatal accidents between those hours of the night. I always say if you're out and about, you're driving with your family, or you're trying to get back to your residence, be a defensive driver. Don't just assume that you've been traveling down this road for the last 5, 10, 15 years, you know the traffic. Okay? It just takes one individual impaired, because now the judgment is being skewed, getting behind the wheel of the vehicle. You got a lot of 2-lane roads. It don't take much for an individual to go beyond those dotted lines and you going head on with that individual. To the right of you is big number of oak trees, a ditch. Well, here's a car coming directly at you. You got a decision to make. Do I hit a tree, or do I try to miss this oncoming car? Okay. Something I want to share with you. Last year, December 30th, 2018, Washington Redskins game. Individual left that game impaired. He said he had up to 10 drinks throughout the game. On his way, I guess he was going home, ran into a family, mom, dad, 3 kids. Kids were under the age of 10, all 3. Mom, dad survived, 3 kids didn't make it. Did not make it. And he just recently, I think in the month of June, just recently was sentenced due to vehicle manslaughter. Okay? It happens every day on our roads. It happens every single day. Stressors. We all got some form of stress in our life. Some of it is small stress we can deal with. Some of it is, a little too much. But however, individuals have got stress in their life that they don't know how to cope with it, or they don't know how to come up with other strategies to reduce the stress. They'll turn to alcohol. Alcohol to be that coping mechanism, to be that thing that calms me down, the soothing effect. So when we got deadlines, workloads, lack of resources, lack of manpower, but we still got to get the job done. Tasks. I get them all the time. Sometimes I'm about 1 foot out the door, got my book bag on the shoulder. Guess what? Oh, hey, you got a task. I need you to take care of this before you leave. God, I'm swearing up and down. Guess what? Now I'm frustrated. I'll go back, do the best out of my ability to get the task done. I walk out the building. I said, man, I got to have a drink. Guess what? I let the task get to the best of me. And now, before I even get off installation good, I don't stop by class 6 and got me a 12-pack. So that's what individuals will face when we talk about stress. Stress at home, financial problems, health or family problems, relationship issues, and we see at the bottom outside stress, commute, conflict with friends. Drinking tips, I want to leave you with. You know, we heard eat, during, and before. That's a must. Can't drink on an empty stomach. And then like now during our season, summer season, you definitely can't drink on an empty stomach, especially if you're outdoors. Your body can get dehydrated. You know, I say, you know, that 12-ounce Bud Light or that cocktail, it don't have no electrolytes in it. Okay, so you cannot use that as your favorite thirst quencher. Soju, Gatorade. All right, if you're gonna celebrate designate, have that designated driver. You know, this is what we're talking about, having a plan in place. Alternate the drinks with a non-alcoholic. Stay hydrated. If you're out, you know, outside, you know, it's hot, the sunlight, you know, have that water. You know, remember the word halt. Don't drink if you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Stay away from those times in regards to drinking alcohol. All right, some more tips here. And the one thing we take away from this slide is about medication. I tell them all this all the time. If you're up under some type of medical care, stay away from alcohol. Because sometimes alcohol will have an adverse effect, not just on the medication, it could have an adverse effect on your body as well. Okay. All right, next I'm going to share another video with you. And it's a former Alexandria County Police Chief. He's public service for over 40 years. Over 40 years of public service as the police chief for Alexandria County, Virginia. Got a DUI. It changes his whole perception. He lost his job, lost benefits. So when I play this video, don't matter how many years of federal service you have, don't matter how much education, if you're a doctorate, master, bachelor. I've been working at Fort A.B. Hill ever since I was 18 years old. You know, whatever situation. Don't let one evening, one night ruin all those years you just, you know, that you built. So I'm going to share this video with you here.
You don't think you can get nailed for a DUI? That's what everybody thinks. But it can happen to anyone, even a police chief.
I felt wrong. I was frightened. I was embarrassed, humiliated. I was disgusted. I suppose every negative emotion that a human being can have, I had.
At checkpoints like this and with patrols, police across Virginia, Maryland, and D.C. will arrest over 75,000 people for drunk driving this year. A DUI is a life changer. It can cost you thousands, your license, your freedom, your dignity. Time spent behind bars, a frightening thought.
Frightening is an understatement. I mean, 5 days is a long time. I couldn't for the life of me figure out how I would spend a minute more. It's frightening to even think about it.
And the arrest affects everyone around you.
Family and friends, people that believe in you, colleagues, folks that you have real affection for, are devastated.
A bad decision, a thoughtless mistake.
At that moment in my life, it will forever haunt me. How in the heck did you get yourself in this position? Why did you get yourself in this position?
The consequences stay with you, some for a lifetime.
This is one of the more serious things you can do, or mistakes you can make. And the other thing is that it doesn't go away.
Unemployment, prison, loved ones forever disappointed, and all of this totally avoidable.
I was the chief of police, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. For 40 years, I went down the tubes in one night, one incident. And I lost everything.
If it can happen to Police Chief David Baker, it can happen to you.
I was the chief of police.
Are you going to risk everything by drinking and driving? Are you going to kill someone tonight?
And I can tell you with Checkpoint Strike Force, they have definitely stepped up in that Northern Virginia area where they have started to do more random DUI checkpoints, not just on 4th of July, not just on Memorial Day or Cinco de Mayo, St. Patrick's Day, throughout the holidays. They have ramped them up more because, yes, we want to get those individuals off the road, and also we want to, definitely save lives. And that's at the end of the day. We want to save lives there. All right, keep trucking right along. THC, marijuana. There's been a lot of buzz going on in our national news that talking about, THC, CBD, cannabinol. When it come down to CBD oils, which is some are, you may hear THC free, hemp free. Okay, so I'm gonna share a slide with you that talks about THC versus CBD. You see some of the difference between the two. Okay, quick learning objectives up front. All right, who knows what the active ingredient in marijuana can cause an individual to get high? Okay, there you go. I was gonna see if we were gonna catch on to it. Who was it? THC. Tetrahydrocannabinol. Active ingredient in marijuana that causes an individual to get high. Okay. Marijuana is a psychoactive, mind-altering chemical drug, just like alcohol is. Have some of the same similarities when we talk about those effects. Loss of coordination, short-term memory. You probably hear, individuals that get the munchies, increased appetite. Psychoactive drugs produce mind-altering state similar to that of psychosis. When we talk about psychosis, we talk about, and this we talking about regular marijuana users. I'm not talking about a weekend warrior. I'm just talking about one that smokes on a routine basis. Okay, the marijuana will have an effect on that person's, state of mind, to a point where they would believe or think something occurred in reality, but it never did happen. That's the marijuana that have an effect on the brain. And that's the psychosis part of it, the effects of it. And looking at those photos right there, those are just two pictures of marijuana in its growth. One in its early stage, one in its latter stage of growth, and the chemical molecule setup of it. Marijuana, THC, active ingredient, psychological, gateway drug, just like when I mentioned with alcohol. Having a combination of the two. Laced with cocaine, PCP, smoking it up, snorting it out of her means of method of getting into the bloodstream. All right, types of marijuana. We know the distinct smell in marijuana when you smell it, in comparison with someone just lit up a cigarette. You know, marijuana comes when it's cut down into fine particles, look just like what we call some of our seasonings that we have in our camp. Oregano, parsley. Some dealers will add that into their product to stretch their product and sell to individuals. And you will never know that you smoking parsley mixed with, or you got oregano mixed with marijuana. The hash. That block, brick right there, or the block right there. What it is the resin from a cannabis indica plant, the oily substance that is retrieved from that plant, along with other forms of marijuana, is packaged into a block form, and individuals will slice it, cut it up, in real fine, to a point where they will roll it up and smoke it. Hash oil. Hash oil will come into a vial like that, and individuals use hash oil to get a brush and wipe it on like a cigarette, let it dry, then smoke it. Now what you're doing is you're getting the THC effect from the particles or from what you just wiped on that cigarette, and that's how that individual is inhaling. That form is a much stronger form, but not a preferred method. Individuals will go through the traditional you hear about, all right, let me roll it up. Got to put the lick on it. And hey, we're going to fire it up, we're going to smoke, we're going to pass it around. That's the old traditional way. That's the preferred way. Just like any other drug, it's consumed some way, but the preferred method is smoke. Some individuals will boil it, cook it, drink it. Like I say, will be mixed with other drugs as what we call a lace marijuana joint with PCP, cocaine, heroin. Heroin also come in a powder form, not just liquid. Come in a powder form. Look just like cocaine. But the individuals that you see that are doing heroin, by the time especially they doing the intravenous injecting, now they have burned it down to a liquid form and using the needle to inject it in the system. But however, heroin does come in a powder form. Same thing with we heard of fentanyl. Fentanyl also comes as white powder form. Individuals will lace a marijuana joint with fentanyl. However, it don't take but a pin drop of fentanyl to kill you. And matter of fact, this morning I was getting dressed on the news. I don't watch American Idol that much. I don't know what season she was. She was on one of the seasons. She was just part of a drug bust that had 2 pounds of fentanyl. And they reported that 2 pounds of fentanyl can kill up to 450,000 people. Fentanyl is a dangerous drug, and our American citizens are putting that stuff in their body. Some make it, some don't. Just like any other drug, you got those short-term effects. Here with marijuana, short-term effects, short-term memory loss. Having a discussion, having a conversation, 4 to 6 hours later, you don't recall even having that conversation. You don't recall going to that individual's house. You don't recall, doing this at the job, because now your memory is become affected. Increased appetite, you heard that, munchies. Red shot eyes, just like alcohol. Alcohol give you red shot eyes. And individuals who smoke marijuana for the first time users, marijuana stays on the onset stays in your body between 40 to about 45 minutes. The effects of it. First time users can go into a cardiac arrest, because now you just inhale a chemical that your body has never had before, and now your body trying to make an adjustment. What did I do? All right. Do I go into a increased heart rate, or do I go into a automatic shutdown? So that's what can happen to an individual on their first onset of smoking marijuana, because you never know what the chemical components or the chemical spray that they spray on these plants as they're growing, to a point where individuals are, when they're smoking, you're inhaling not just the plant itself, but the chemicals also that is sprayed on at that time as well. More effects of THC. Marijuana contains more tar than average, menthol, smoking cigarette. Also, you see, it can cause, lung cancer, bronchitis, just like any other drug, any other effects. If you're abusing the drug, it's gonna have some type of effect on the body. You just can't, even though nowadays individuals use marijuana for medical purposes. Yeah, it has some benefit, but when you're abusing some drugs, it will damage your organs. Liver, kidney, gallbladder. All those things become your lungs. All those things become affected. Just like alcohol, withdrawal effect. Marijuana has the same thing. Person trying to kick the habit, trying to go clean, cold turkey. Inability to sleep. At one point I had, the munchies. I love to eat. I was eating up everything in the house. But now, since I stopped smoking, now I have lost the appetite. I'm irritable. I'm always agitated. THC versus CBD. Who heard of the CBD oils? CBD oils now, you can find them at Bed Bath & Beyond. You can find them at our GNC store. You can find them at the Vitamin Shop. You may find some that says THC free. You may find some that say hemp free. All of our federal workers, including our service members, we are prohibited from utilizing CBD oil, because CBD oil is a chemical component of marijuana. Okay. I have a memorandum signed by the Undersecretary of the Army that I can share with if we got any supervisors here that if you want to take back, post it in your area. It talks about the prohibiting use of any chemical component of marijuana, and CBD oil is one of them. Okay. As you see, all the great benefits that CBD has for the body: inflammation, treating pain, joints, nausea, individuals that going through chemo, help get their appetite. Have you heard, I heard someone say this, that food tastes like metal when individuals are going through chemo. So this helps get their appetite to eat, foods again. And it'll help them through that process. And as you see with the THC on it, you see the good in the bad. So like I say, both of them have some good similarities. One ingredient, they get you high, and the other one is a non-active ingredient. I always say this information may not apply to you because of your status. But however, if you got a loved one that is going through some type of chronic pain, illness, this could be a recommendation for you to help with that current situation. All right, this is how you. This is matter of fact, this one here you'll find in Bed Bath & Beyond. Yes, sir.
You said that the CBD can't do that in the military, correct?
Correct.
Okay. If it's not getting high, is it just because it's made for THC, or?
No, it's a non-active ingredient of the THC.
Okay, so when they test for THC, it's positive.
Yes, you will.
So that's probably what we can't distinguish.
Well, as you look at the molecule breakdown, the oxygen and the hydro, I think I H that hydro something oxygen. See the difference in between the two and the links? That's how that far off between CBD and THC is.
An inch.
And it's still, like I say, it gives the same effects. You know, as far as when we talk about inflammation, joint pains, and all that good stuff. So that's the reason why now you hear a lot of the buzz about individuals being prescribed as for medical purposes. To help with those current situations. All right, here's a chart here. Across the United States, as you can see, states that you see in green has legalized it for medical and recreation. And then what you see in blue, they just have legalized it for medical use only. And I would say, in my opinion, I said probably within the next 5 to 7 years, we all gonna be either green or blue. One of the two, across the whole nation. All right, just a chart there. We got other classification of drugs. You're talking about from depressants. You're talking about alcohol, THC. It's a depressant. Stimulants, just to name a few, and designer drugs as well. All right, outside the Army Substance Abuse Program, here's some additional resources that you can utilize. I have community resources. I have a resource guide as well. Like I say, this information may not directly impact you, but if you may have a neighbor, you may have a loved one, uncle, auntie, hey, give them this information. Help that individual out. ASAP got news. Like I said, Fox 5, CNN. Why can't ASAP have that news? This is another form of we putting out information that Army Substance Abuse do. Not just through Facebook, the Garrison Facebook, the Eagle, but however, in this form, I push whatever we got currently going on or whatever we got going on in the future. I try to put it out in this form. Currently, we got the 101 Days of Summer Sense. It's like a safety campaign that the Army promotes throughout the summer. From Memorial Day all the way to Labor Day. We want to thank safety. Safety from a standpoint when you're out and about doing your family activities, when you're down at that favorite, water or lake where you like to fish. I always tell them all this, alcohol and water don't mix. It always, somewhere down the line, we'll have, 2 or 3 drownings of individuals that are assigned to Fort Belvoir, where it came down, down the block and said, hey, this service member went to a state park drinking, got on the boat, had an accident, someone drowned. Okay? This is the time we try to, let individuals know, don't drink alcohol if you know you're going to be boating. Don't drink alcohol if you know you're going out swimming or rafting or whatever the case may be, and water is around. Because now once you're, like I say, once your motor skills are being impacted, you show me a great swimmer who can swim under the influence of alcohol, then I may give him a pat on the back. All right, this is our flyer that we pushed out. Here, what I want to share with you. You may not have it down here, but however, this came out from CID, and it talks about cannabis infused soda. All right, these drinks have THC in them. Okay, not saying it's in your 7-Elevens, not saying it's at Wawa. It's not in those cases. But however, if they got mom and pop tobacco shops in the area, they may sell this. And if you don't know what it is, you think it's a nice fruit drink. You think it's a orange juice, and you get it and you drink it. Guess what? You got THC. THC is in your body. And definitely states that who have legalized it, quite naturally, they are selling it. They are selling it. They are selling it. Another CID broadcast notice I want to put out to our community. This is a performance enhancement supplement. It was found at one of our Air Force base, selling at the in one of the I guess they call BX or main exchange. It was on the shelves. This supplement has a steroid. Has a steroid in it. So after it was tested from 2 different labs, they found the contents in it, and they removed it from all APs across the globe. But however, you can still get this supplement at the GNC, at the vitamin shop. They do sell it. So I know if you got into workout buffs, into supplements, read your content so you know what you're taking. All right, Warrior Pride. Warrior Pride is a campaign that the Army supports. We call it 365 days a year. And I would just go right to the point. And D as in duty. Do your duty as a soldier or a civilian. Stay mentally and physically tough by not abusing alcohol and drugs or other drugs. As long as you're doing that, everything will fall into place. You'll be the outstanding worker. You'll be the outstanding individual in the community. You'll be volunteer for everything. You'll be the outstanding parent, you name it. Because you're doing your duty to stay mentally and physically tough and not abusing alcohol and drugs. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? I need one volunteer. I need one volunteer. I need one volunteer to come walk the line I have up front. Got a volunteer? Yeah. Come on down. Come on down. Pretty much what I kind of demonstrate a volunteer is going to demonstrate one of the field sobriety tests that individual will go through at a DUI stop. Okay. Pretty much what we're going to do, here what we call our beer goggles here. This is what I call our nighttime beer goggles, which have a 0.17 up to a 0.19 blood alcohol concentration. Okay? So the reason why I said nighttime, because most of the stops are what? At night. Okay? So what's going to happen is Madeline's going to do one of the DUI field sobriety test, which is the heel to toe. Heel to toe, arms parallel with what I call the marching surface. And you're going to do 7 steps. 7 steps, get to the end, stop, turn around, and come back. So now you can definitely see the effects of the blood alcohol concentration on the individual as they're driving. So you You understand what you got to do.
I understand what has
All right, so. All right, so we see the line. All right, we'll do a heel to toe. Arms will be parallel with the marching circle. All right, here you go. Go ahead and put the goggles on. For safety reasons, I was going to stand nearby, so we don't want those head angles. All right, you begin. Arms parallel, head to toe. Yeah.
Lock her up.
Feet together.
I think I'd have a better time closing my eyes. I'd say the 7 steps.
7 steps.
How much time you guys got?
3, 4, 5.
Hey, just go get your keys upside down.
You good? Turn around. You on the line. And feet together.
I'm going to jail.
He's going to
There you go.
I just need a very understanding police officer.
All right. There you go. Thank you. All right. As you see how difficult that is, just imagine an individual with a blood alcohol concentration of that magnitude trying to perform that field sobriety test. So yes, it is very difficult. Okay, and you know, if you see someone out there performing that, if they pass it, hey, that I would say they're an expert at it. Okay, so when I say with blood alcohol concentration or drinking and driving, I always have a plan in place. Either use a designated driver or use what I call my 0, 1, 2, 3. You know, it's all about making low risk choices. If I make low risk choices, hey, I'm gonna be A-okay, I'm gonna be a responsible individual. Hey, life's gonna be good. Okay? This is my contact information. I have resources in the back of other programs within the Army Substance Abuse Program. The one thing I do like to share with our civilian workforce is the Employee Assistance Program. You know, that is a free service. It's a service to our federal employees. No matter what you got going on in your life, it don't have to be substance abuse related. Could be, hey, I got some dynamics going on in my household. I got a little stress. Hey, I just need someone to talk to. You know, Dr. Brandella, which is our EAP, he does short-term counseling. Hey, if something that is in your arena that you need some assistance with, feel free to stop back there, grab a flyer, call him up. He's ready to assist. All right.